So one of the things I talk a lot about is what we've done in the past isn't necessarily what's going to make us successful in the future. I touched on the fact that technology's changed a lot. The value that we used to provide, if we look back 10, 20 years ago, the small business technology environments, they would fall over with a light breeze. Our networks weren't very stable. Server infrastructure, everyone had old servers that we would be kept up at night because it could just not come back up the next morning. I remember when I started in the industry in 2011, majority of clients still didn't have backups. So what we did was create that stability, set it up, set those customer environments up to function and really operate well. While that was going on, technology improved. We saw a lot of the networking gear become a lot more accessible, a lot more stable, a lot less problems. We saw SBS server go away and we get M365. We've seen a lot of those legacy apps disappear, so the complexity of client environments has shrunk. So we've seen all this change, and we were able to really reap the rewards if we did it right in that kind of change. We created the managed services that created recurring revenue. Our margins increased as the environments got better, and we got a lot of professional services revenue in those changes to uplift them to M365, to decommission old infrastructure. But that's where we sort of stopped. Most of us didn't really get to the point where we're proper managed services companies. And what I mean by that is pretty much all we did was fixed price end user support, and then we did some infrastructure management work. Very few of us are actually proactive businesses that are identifying problems and solving them before they happen. And the time of that's running out, because what's going on now is the types of technology that are coming down to our SMBs are quite broad. What our value of the past has been around that infrastructure management and that end user support, because it's a lot less complicated, it's a lot less needed in our small business clients. They're looking at other ways to expand. The democratization of technology from the enterprise space down to the SMB space is driving a lot of ability for small businesses to scale and grow and be efficient in ways that we didn't have access to in the past. And the big call out for me is something like Microsoft Dynamics. We wouldn't even consider that even close to being an SMB product even 5 years ago, but every year it keeps getting closer and closer and closer to a small business being able to operate on Dynamics. And that in itself should be a flag. Most of us have avoided talking about the application layer. We don't usually provide application support. We're not usually driving any improvements in it. We don't really understand it. Most of us have deliberately stayed away from it. We will avoid it. We'll always push it to the vendor. We'll always stay out of it. But that's actually what clients are starting to need. So as you're looking at this slide, start to think about our clients having a ICT environment, and there's these 12 major technology solution categories. How are you helping your clients in each of these solve their business problems? I want you to think about that as I talk through the next couple of slides. So something I've been talking a lot about over the last couple of years is like, what are the big bets in the technology focus areas? So off the back of those 12 solution categories, there's a whole bunch of different technology. In the SMB space, where are we actually going to make our money in the sort of next 5 to 10 years? These are the main areas. And when you start to look at these, a lot of this isn't what we've used to do in the past. In fact, there's very little there. We've got a bit of cloud and hybrid infrastructure that we do. We do a bit of business continuity. We've always done sort of that backup and infrastructure side. but everything else is non-traditional for us. It's actually quite foreign when we look at that end user support and infrastructure management side. But there's so much money to be made, not just because I'm saying so, because the major vendors are driving. When you start to look at this stuff is what's actually solving business problems. As we've solved a lot of those baseline technology hierarchy of needs for our clients, we're creating foundations for them to build off their businesses, leveraging technology. A lot of this is what can drive efficiency and growth. But we keep defaulting to only risk. And so what I want you to think about more is, do you understand your client? Can you go and have a conversation with your client? Do you know how they make money? Do you know what their core processes are? And then be able to bring solutions to them based on technology that you understand that will tie into that specific business. That is where we're transforming into that advisor level engagement. And so what I'm going to do is break down into the next step around those high level categories, what some of the story and solutions that have already been seeing, where a lot of the really mature, really successful growing technology solutions and partners are focusing on this year, because there's clear needs from our clients. If you stop to think, it's been 5 years since COVID. So we're at a natural point where there's a lot of infrastructure that needs refreshing. There's a lot of decisions that were made in COVID when there was a rush towards hybrid and remote working. And not all of those decisions were good. They were the right ones to be made at the time, but they weren't made with a long-term sustainable thought process. So as you start to take in these market demands, you can start to see what clients are starting to need. And I'm going to pick on the modern secure desktop. Everyone gets excited about Windows 11 as a tipping point. Windows 10 is becoming end of life, so well, we need to drive Windows 11 adoption. I don't actually find that exciting, because if you've been doing this long enough and are mature, we should already be proactively driving a life cycle management program for our clients, even in the small businesses, where we're recommending that they replace old hardware before it becomes an issue for the client. It's a 5-year life cycle for a desktop, as an example. Well, why aren't we selling it that way in the first place, and why aren't we proactively replacing those with our clients ahead of time? This Windows 11 thing wouldn't even exist as a conversation, because what I'm seeing is the partners that are leading with the Windows 11 change over the Windows 10 end of life, they're not having a lot of traction with their clients because of the current economic conditions, but also the focus of clients of what they're trying to achieve. All this is a budgetary problem for those clients, where all of a sudden they've got all this extra spend that they didn't know, but they're already looking at spending on technology to help their business in a lot of different ways. And this is where, again, we got to flip it from that old school end user support infrastructure management focus into actually understanding our clients' businesses. I'm going to take a step deeper. So if you're thinking about these technology areas, one of the things we don't do very well is think about a client journey for our solutions. And so there's these sort of 6 key value streams of a solution for a client. Each one of these we should be monetizing. Our traditional businesses have typically been around management, implementation, and procurement. That's how we've made our money. We'd procure hardware, or we'd procure some licenses and resell them. We'd do an implementation through our projects, professional services, and then we'd manage it through our infrastructure management and end user support. We have given away advice for free forever, and we don't value that. We give our solution designs in the architecture sphere if someone requests something, we just give a quote and we just send it out. There's no actually solution design. There's no process there. There's no monetization there. And then we never provide enablement. We're not worried about adoption and how the end users utilize their technology, because again, all we do is provide the pipes, the feeds, and that's it. We provide the network, we give them some desktop, and we give them some sort of server infrastructure. They don't need to be enabled to utilize that, because it's just there. People know these days well enough that how to access a computer, how to log in, how to jump online and use what they use. We see that as job done. So when you look at this, we're only doing half the pie. And that means we're leaving a lot of money on the table. But more importantly, to me, this is a lost opportunity to deliver really great value to our clients. And those things that we're not doing, that's actually what the clients value the most. So I want to challenge you to start to think about this a lot differently as a client journey, and you can start to break this down into those different technology category areas, and all of a sudden you can start to build out a solutions portfolio. And so as you're listening along, and you might be buying into this, and you might think James is onto something. This is sort of where my clients are going. Maybe not. Maybe you don't want to have to invest in this sort of stuff. But what you're probably picking up is there's a lot of capability that we need to increase. Like I said, most of those big bets we don't do. Most of those technology categories we don't do. But all of a sudden, I'm telling you that you probably need to do them in some fashion. Most of us are going to default to wanting to build our own capability. That's what we've always done. We've started our business. As we've gone on, we've bolted on stuff. We've added cybersecurity. We've lifted up from just doing on-prem. We do a bit of cloud. But I want to challenge that mindset, because things are getting so broad. Like you saw, there's 12 technology categories. There's no way, as small technology solution partners, that you can do everything end to end. It's just not possible. We need to start thinking about different ways. Building might not be the right way. I'd only ever build if it's a core capability that I need in the business. There's enough volume of work to do it. There's enough profit in it, and there's the ability to retain the people with the talent to keep delivering that. So if that's not an option for most things, we need to start looking at these different options. One of it's acquire, but for most of us as smaller businesses, we probably don't have the ability to do that, whether that's because we don't have the cash and profitability. Maybe it's we don't have enough headspace to be able to do that. So that might not be an option. But the one that really opens up, that makes the most sense, is actually partnering. There's a lot less risk involved in partnering. There's a lot more opportunity to leverage partners with their expertise to come in and deliver it. But so many of us they've come from the traditional MSP space, are very dead against partnering. We think we need to do everything. We need to control absolutely everything. And that's what's going to harm us, because I'm already starting to see it in, especially in the more startup technology solution partners. They are leveraging these specialists. They're gaining a lot more traction in clients a lot faster, and they're delivering outcomes in a lot of those different areas that they wouldn't have if they were trying to build everything. And that rapid ability to add things to our solutions portfolio and meet our client needs, that is a real advantage in the market. And not enough people are doing that. So it's actually a unique selling point at this point. So I want you to think about that for a second. What are you doing to expand your solutions portfolio? You'll notice that I keep using the word solutions portfolio. I haven't used Stack at all because it's a completely different concept. Us as MSPs have always talked about our client stack. What do we deliver? What stack are we creating? Well, the reason why I don't use that terminology and I talk about a solutions portfolio is because we need to be more flexible for our clients. A stack is a rigid, verticalized standardization of particular things that delivered. If we don't deliver it in our stack, then we don't do it. But that's not what clients need. Again, we're going back our traditional thinking of we need to create stability. We need to drive that stability by true standardization of what we can support and deliver. Clients don't need that anymore. We've already done that. That standardization is done. We've put them on M365. Now what? What are we doing to help them leverage those tools to drive their business? That's the real challenge here for most of us. Whereas we start to think about a solutions portfolio, that might mean we've got ability to ask some questions of our clients and bring a specialist partner in to help them with a Business Central implementation, or bring another partner in to do a more complex networking environment because they've got operational technology that they're using. Things like that, that doesn't fit into a stack. And if we don't break that mindset, we're very stuck in our ways. And while that might suit some clients, there'll still be clients that just want that sort of simplicity. What we're doing is going against that commoditization, because that stack is very easily delivered from volume and scale automation and offshoring at a commodity rate. So we're gonna be dragged into more and more of a price battle that we can't win. And it's not like the old days where some big partners would come in, they'd try and come to the SMB market, drive the prices down and capture market. That would never work because we needed to be a lot more white glove service. But that's disappearing. People don't need as much white glove because the technology just works. They're looking for more instant gratification. So before I dive into the next section, just stop and think for a second around this solutions portfolio, the capabilities that you're going to need. And again, are you ready to transform into this mindset to start delivering this to clients? Or is it time to start thinking about exit? Because again, if you're starting to get client churn because you're not meeting client needs and providing them advice, lifting their maturity, bringing them different type of technology solutions proactively, well, you're going to be surviving. And so what I'll do now is take a little pause, and we'll answer any questions before I move on to the next section. So Vivian, can you stop the recording for me?